liaison function too at the same time because of economic
Alright, good morning everyone.
Realms. It's
Come to our August meeting. Everybody kind of runs around, takes vacations. Thanks for coming. We appreciate having you. The coffee sponsor this morning is SEH.
Morning, everybody. Steve Winters with SEH. I was told to show up and give a short elevator speech, and since most of the elevators are pretty short, I'll try to keep it brief. I've worked for our office for about 19 years, moved here in 2003, thought I was going to be a ski bum and learned that I really love the community. Summers here, little known fact, are actually way better than the winters, what I found out pretty quick. We are an engineering company, but we also have architects, scientists, surveyors, you name it, we can do it. Basically, our primary focus is, helping people build things. Our model is building a better world for all of us. So we do, public infrastructure, private infrastructure. We've done projects throughout La Plata County. We've done a lot of different design development projects in mountain communities, Telluride, Mountain Village, Uray, Silverton, all of the above. And yeah, just excited to be here. I'm glad to hear that you guys are having a light crew today because that means there's a lot of people at these things. So I'm excited to be here and I hope everybody has a good morning and enjoy the coffee and breakfast. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Steve. How did Steve not get more laughs about the engineering elevator trip? That was a good. Okay, sponsors or coffee sponsor signups for next year. They're over by the coffee. We'd love to have everybody sign up for those. Great opportunity to kind of get up and give a little spiel on your business and what you got going on. This is fair week. Anybody attend the fair? Couple, way to go. Go see the fair. These kids work their tails off all year long, raising animals, doing projects, decorating cakes, you name it, there's a project for these kids. So go out, show your support, talk to them, introduce yourselves. Really fun week. It was a rough week at the fire department. Yeah. See a firefighter. Any first-time guests this morning? Okay, you heard from Steve. Everybody remember Steve? Stand up and introduce yourself again, Steve. I never got you. If you don't mind, if this is your first time here, if you could stand up and introduce yourself, we'd love to hear from you.
I guess I'm the new one. So I'm Sherry Berg. I'm the Chief Nursing Officer at Mercy. So you're going to hear a little bit about COVID later on. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me. Appreciate it.
What's COVID?
I'm new too. My name is Rachel Linder. I'm a portfolio manager at TBK Bank.
First timers. We'll have a membership, or we'll have a guest sign up sheet going around. If your information isn't on there, you can go to the last page, add your contact information, we'll get you on the distribution list, and keep you in the know. Summit next month. So 21st of September, we'll be hot and heavy going to the summit. More than likely, our last board meeting last week, we discussed once again probably not having an investor meeting next month. Boy, it's just too much to try and cram into about a 10-day period. So we won't be in this setting, but we look forward to seeing everybody at the summit. I think we've got a packed agenda of speakers, breakout sessions. It should be another fantastic event. Board updates. We had a lot of discussion around the RHA at the last meeting. Also discussed board elections. So those will be coming up in October again. We'll have at least 2 seats opening up. My tenure here is quickly approaching an end. Patty Zink will be coming off as well. She's not going to rerun. And then Dan Corbin, his term comes up, but I think Dan's going to come back. Dan's going to come back running. Hey, surprise, Dan, you're coming back running. With that, that's our board updates. We're going to switch the agenda up a little bit this morning. I seem to put our electeds at the very end when we're out of time, so we kind of feel bad about it. So we're going to put them at the front this morning and do a little bit more time. So we'll start with Commissioner Saul.
Good morning, everyone. Matt Salka, County Commissioner of La Plata County. A couple items just want to highlight for you all, and thank you, Mike, for accommodating my schedule today. But last week we had a La Plata County housing retreat. What we had was developers this time. So we had 3 developers come in and answer any questions that the county commissioners had for them, and giving staff direction on what the role of La Plata County is on housing projects here in La Plata. Yesterday, we had a work session for public health. End of the month, we should receive a staff report on the assessment information on potential withdrawing from San Juan Basin Public Health. We are trying to work hand in hand with Archuleta County, but we're seeing here by the end of this month what staff feels and how hard it is to withdraw from San Juan Basin, and then we will make a decision from there. If we do move forward, it would be a year plus process on phasing out San Juan Basin Health. Next item too as well is this afternoon we have a work session on road impact fees, just a work session. Staff will be discussing with us on impact fees and what that could do benefit the county or could potentially harm projects here in La Plata County. So we'll be learning more today. Tomorrow, we will have, during our board discussion time, Community Foundation will present an outline of how to distribute $3.5 million. So I look forward to hearing from the Community Foundation on their vision of how we can distribute that $3.5 million. Thursday, I have my office hours at the CAB at our administration building off of 2nd Avenue from 3 to 5. But again, do not wait for office hours for any of the commissioners. Please contact us anytime. We will accommodate your schedule to be able to meet with you one-on-one. And then on August 18th, very important, we will from 6 to 8 p.m. It will be hybrid, either in person at the administration building or online, but a work session with Planning Commission on Chapter 90, review draft and oil and gas code for our land use code. So the draft is out. You can log on our website to view or contact me and I can distribute that. But there will be a public process. We will hear input from anyone that has any input that they would like to give. And that is my updates for La Plata County. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Salka. Get an update from the city's from Tom Crosby. That's all.
Morning, everyone. Some good news coming from the state of Colorado. There's a sales tax holiday for bars, restaurants, caterers, and mobile food vendors for July, August, and September. You haven't already factored that into your sales, you can do that retroactively. Best resource I'm going to direct you to is this tax.colorado.gov/sales tax relief. Feel free to grab me after. I can share you the link or provide any additional information, but just a little bit of extra relief as we know inflation is still taxing our bars, restaurants, and other food businesses quite a bit. And again, that's for the months of July, August, and September 2022, bars, restaurants, caterers, and mobile food vendors. Our Midtown Peak grant, our second round of grant applications is coming to an end on August 31st. Just as a reminder for that, grant opportunities here in the Durango Midtown area, up to $50,000 for any sort of public-facing property improvement. We were able to issue 1 award to Catacombs Fitness in our first round, and we still have 2 awards available up to $50,000. Again, grab me if you got questions about that. A quick update on the La Posta partnership. The city staff and Alliance staff met with county commissioners last week to provide a brief update, and we'll likely be following up with a more comprehensive study session to answer some of the questions that came up. That area does look like it's going to be expanding from roughly the original 300-acre plan to about a 500-acre plan. Details of that are still being worked out. It's getting pushed a little further south, which is great news. There's a natural shelf that's prime for housing development. So more news on that to come as we get those maps finalized. Creative Economy Commission, we're pleased to announce that our first round of Lodgers Tax Arts and Culture funding went out into community. We were able to fund 19 projects at $250,000. Projects, performances, venues, new sculptures. Keep your eyes peeled at the 32nd Street pedestrian bridge. There's a new Jeff Wise sculpture. It's going to be this, I think it's the Celestial Sailor. It's a rad-looking canoe moon guy that spins. You can see it from the river, from the trail, and from the bridge, so that'll be a cool one. The second round for the Creative Economy Commission Arts and Culture funding is August 31st as well. If you got any questions about that, funding can go towards projects, programs, events, and experiences, a new roof, new public art, a mural, a performance. Come grab me, happy to answer any questions about that. That's about it. That's about it as far as updates from the city goes. And again, if you do have any questions about that sales tax relief for food businesses, that's through the state of Colorado, not the city of Durango. So come grab me if you got any questions. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Tommy. Great news. We'll go to Mayor Tarkington.
Yes, as someone who just took advantage of that sales tax relief, it's a nice little bonus, so encourage your businesses to do that. Just a couple quick updates as far as our east intersection goes. We have SEH working on the project, thank you SEH. The town has funded up to 60% of the cost of engineering, and we will be going after the 60 to 100% from our infrastructure funds and other grants. I think the board understands how important that intersection can be for businesses, new commercial projects and residential projects, so it's been put on the top of the priority list. We have our big zip code party, 8/11/22, this Thursday at Eagle Park. Come hang out with us and watch a movie. Our last block party is August 18th, and I think you'll see some earth being moved around town if you drive through Bayfield. Our Marlin Village is all the infrastructure is going into that project. That is our tiny home village project right off of the Parkway. And then our Orchard PUD, things are starting to happen over there as well. And that is a nice little planned unit development, 14 homes, duplexes, affordable housing. So yeah, just cruise around town, you'll see some changes happening. Thanks.
Thanks, Ashley. We'll go out to Nashville.
Thanks. Well, good morning, everybody. So a couple of things happened in Ignacio. We just started the process to annex some property that the town owns. That's going to turn into a minor subdivision with one of our first affordable home projects, hopefully slated towards the end of the year, maybe first of next year. So that's how things are moving there. A big shout out for September 3rd. We've got our Ignacio Green Chili Festival that's going to be happening. It's a Saturday to come out and get some green bread chili or some salsa. It's always a great time. We've got the Secret Circus Society coming in for that. We've got some live music, cornhole tournament, things of that nature. Partnering obviously with Durango Harley Davidson. They've got some events up there as well. And another shout out for the 10th of September, which is the Southern Ute Fair, and it's going to be their 100th year celebration. They had to postpone that a few years ago for some type of a COVID event or something. So they're going to do that this year. So I expect that to be a great, widely a huge event, obviously multi-tribal event. So those are the things happening at Ignacio. Yeah.
Thanks so much, Clark. No further ado, our noble director.
Morning. Quiet audience today. One of the things that Jameson did not say is that he is a volunteer firefighter. So if folks know Jameson, you know how committed he is to that. And we don't often think of first responders until we need them, or until something like what happened this week happens. So Jameson, thank you, and I know it's been a tough week for the entire department. As Tommy alluded to, the La Posta scope has changed, so the MOU that the Alliance has entered into with the city is being updated. It's a good thing. We're going to reach out all the way past Jackrabbit Lane now to the Isgard property. I think the total is going to be 520 acres when it's all said and done. And we'll have Scott Shine here probably in November, because I think October is going to be a busy meeting with the elections. We were scheduled to have Tony from the airport here, but he had a conflict. And so he was going to discuss the runway project, the airline routes for 2022. We know that Frontier is going away as of this month into 2023. The capital improvements that he has, and but we'll have him back in October, and this will be the last time I'll show this slide. But he'll be back here with a brand new runway. As Jameson said, we've got the summit coming up. We're heads down on that. Want to thank all of the sponsors that have come in so far. There's probably 7 or 8 other sponsors that haven't quite found a slot here. We'll have a full update on this in the next couple of weeks. Actually, we're going to close the door on sponsors as of Friday. Michelle is going to send out an email today. We will launch ticket sales, so everybody will be able to register as of today online. And again, as Jameson said, we expect a full house. It's a great lineup. We'll start marketing this heavily within the next few weeks. Again, thanks to all of our sponsors that have come into the door so far. This is going to be the healthiest summit that we've had ever, in terms of sponsors and content. So we'll see if we can't pack the house. There's been some interesting reversal of trends in housing. First of all, mortgage rates fell below 5% on Friday. I didn't look this morning, but that's the first time that's happened in 4 months. And the real estate report for July came out last week. And what's really interesting is for Durango, single-family homes, both median and average dollar amount dropped over $100,000. We've never seen that either. And that's from June to July, not the same time last year. And that went from median 750,000 to 629, so actually more than 100K. And the average went from 855 to 724, also more than 100K. The average day on market also declined, doubled. So it went from 51 days on market to 103. So I think that's good news for folks looking for houses and affordability. La Plata County, the median dropped by over 100K, but the average rose. So there were a couple of houses, large houses that sold. And then in Bayfield, it's actually the opposite. So actually Bayfield's getting popular. Both median and average prices rose. Median is up to 552,000, and the average price in Bayfield right now is 528,000. So nobody could have ever predicted any of this, right? So we'll give an update in August and see if these trends are holding. Sorry, Helen, you're next. We got word just yesterday that the county committed $250,000 to the Catalyst Fund. And so we already have 125 in there from the county for seed funding. So we'll up that up to 250,000. We're actively talking to 2 foundations, and the city has also discussed contributing to Catalyst Fund. I'm very optimistic that we're going to get this north of $500,000 within the next month or so. And within the next few weeks, we're going to formulate the committee for the Catalyst Fund and start to work on parameters and start taking applications. So very, very excited about that. All that Catalyst Fund, as a reminder, will go to seed workforce housing projects, pay for soft costs, and some of the foundations have talked about wanting it to go to hard costs. So we may separate those funds and say, you know, Fund A goes to soft costs and entitlement and engineering, technical assistance, and Fund B goes to infrastructure or something to that extent. That's my report, Jameson. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Mike. Page from Senator Higgins. Morning.
Morning.
So good. She's so good.
Let's come do that breaker. I came for the baby
She's
this
got
morning.
She take over the meeting.
It's a quiet room. Really good to see y'all. I'm Helen Keaton. I serve as Senator Hickenlooper's Western Colorado Director. Thanks for having me. I'm always happy to come here and provide federal updates. Also happy to meet one-on-one with y'all anytime, so feel free to reach out. So it's been busy over in DC, but really exciting news just in the last couple of weeks, just since Sunday as well, so I'll go through some top lines. Biggest news from this last week is Senator Hickenlooper and Senator Bennett both signed a resolution to congratulate the Colorado Avalanche on their Stanley Cup victory. You might not have seen that because the Inflation Reduction Act made it through the Senate just on Sunday. So wanted to share one quick note. I was on a call yesterday with our legislative director over in DC, and her little kid was running back and forth, 2-year-old little girl running back and forth behind the camera, and she got very weepy-eyed after being awake for 38 hours during the Votorama, and said, "What did you do with your little girl?" And she said, "My husband watched her and he kept saying to her, Mommy's just out saving the world," which she would hate if I told you that, but I think the impact and the historic nature of this act is profound. So I just want to share that as a quick note. So focusing on climate change as well as cutting costs for Colorado and families across the nation. So a couple of key provisions that I want to go over with y'all. So focusing on climate rescue and climate energy first, lowering climate costs, increasing clean energy production, focusing on reducing carbon emissions. This was looking like 40% reduction by 2030. So the way that it's broken down, some top lines, over $100 billion in tax credits for clean energy generation and storage and other clean energy technologies. So one note that I wanted to share is we were looking at a lot of rebates for EVs, just in terms of equity for EV purchasing. One, the rebate will come upon purchase now, which is really exciting, which makes it a lot easier for us to actually go in and purchase. And two, it includes used EVs as well. So it's really starting to even out the playing field for those of us who weren't able to access EVs originally because of the way that the rebates were working. Two, broad reforms in our federal oil and gas leasing system. One piece about this that was really exciting is Senator Hickenlooper's Competes Act was included in this piece of the legislation. It ends speculative practicing over non-competitive leasing on our federal land. So really important for us as federal taxpayers to make sure that this non-competitive leasing program is ended. Over $10 billion for home efficiency and electrification. Hot water pumps, this is something very, very key that Senator Hickenlooper specifically was fighting for. So we're actually going over to Animas V with Senator Hickenlooper next week to look at some of their electrification models in that community. So that's something really, really big that can impact all of us here. Tens of $billions in infrastructure and technology, so solar, wind, battery manufacturing, It also goes specifically to the Department of Energy for innovative technology and research and development. So that money will go specifically to Colorado-based NREL over in Golden. And then there's also tens of billions of dollars marked for environmental justice projects, focusing on clean energy and air pollution in urban areas. And then there'll be selected projects as well for rural communities that have faced environmental injustice. I'm not sure what that's going to look like yet, if they have pre-selected projects or if that'll be a application process, but I'll keep you all updated on the rural impacts there. Reducing health costs, so allows Medicare to negotiate for drug prices. It starts with 10 increases over the next few years. So looking at a limited number of prescription drug costs, phenomenal impact for Colorado families, especially aging families and aging Americans across the nation. So huge pieces there. I could go on and on about this. We are coming up with a Colorado specific notes on how the act will impact Colorado families that I'll send over to Mike and distribute to all of you. But I don't mean this in any sort of way other than a fact. This is the biggest investment in climate action in the history of the world, which is pretty phenomenal and very much our responsibility as a country to make this investment right now. So we're doing a ton of press events right now, but there's going to be a lot of news coming out the door. We're expecting this to be signed into law, hopefully by the end of the week, without too much tweaking going on in the House. It's looking really good right now. So happy to talk to each one of you and see how we can get news about rebates and the rest of it as this gets signed into law, hopefully by the end of the week. Couple of other notes I wanted to quickly, not in the light of small business, but did want to highlight that the PACT Act finally passed. So final sign-off came out last Tuesday. So this is $280 billion worth of new allocations for veteran health programs, specifically to veterans who were exposed to toxic burn pits. So I met somebody, I was in DC about 3 weeks ago, respiratory problems, cancer. She served in Afghanistan, was stationed next to an open burn pit and hasn't gotten any healthcare support from the VA yet. Absolutely, again, our responsibility, and really good to see this actually finally go through this last week after it was supposed to far earlier. So that's a quick note. Housing was what I was specifically asked to talk about. Thank you all for your leadership. I'm so glad to hear this news that costs are going down a little bit. We're constantly looking at what is the federal nexus and opportunity for Senator Hickenlooper to be involved in this work. I wanted to highlight Lisa and some of our other partners that have been doing amazing work in the manufacturing mobile home communities and looking at manufactured housing. So Senator Hickenlooper is very much focused on how do we build supply, so how do we look at supply chains and workforce development, et cetera. But he's also very focused on how do we preserve what little affordable housing we have in the community and what little workforce housing we can hold on to. We know that there's been a movement across the country that has really focused on outside investors purchasing mobile home parks and then increasing rents. So just this last week on Friday, Senator Hickenlooper wrote to the director of the Federal Housing Finance Agency, Sandra Thompson, urging the Federal Housing Agency to improve protections for residents in manufactured housing communities, financed by the enterprises Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. So these enterprises, they were created to facilitate affordable housing projects, and it's been used in a very counter way recently, where outside investors are able to access Freddie Mae and Fannie Mac loans to be able to purchase manufactured home communities and then increasing rent. So 4-page letter really focusing on what provisions can be included and secured to be able to provide more protection over mobile home communities and individual mobile home users. A couple of notes here, requesting full and public access for for tenant lease protections, expansion of protections provided by tenant site lease protections, including from protections from eviction or rent increases or fees, a right for first refusal, which was specifically pointed to some of the projects in Durango. So again, thank you, Lisa, and thank you, other leaders. Specifically pointing to Durango, as we need to follow the example of what Durango is doing right now on a national level. So really, really exciting there. Small business, one quick note that I wanted to share is we have a workforce housing problem. And we have a workforce problem, it turns out. Just learning about this. One note that we've been hearing across the board, as well as with the workforce problem, that the crux, or one of the linchpins of it, is a very, very broken immigration system as well. So 2 weeks ago, Senator Hickenlooper and Senator Kramer introduced the Equal Access to Green Cards for Legal Employment Act, the EAGLE Act. And it's a bill to allow American employers to hire more immigrants based on their merit, regardless of their country of origin. So specifically right now, there's a 7% per country limit on employment-based immigration visas. So this just takes away that 7% cap. It makes it based on merit rather than on country of origin. So definitely not the overhaul immigration reform that Senator Hickenlooper has been pushing for, but definitely addressing our workforce problem as well as some of our immigration problem. Last note, congressionally directed spending. We saw $100 million, about $100 million come in through the state of Colorado, to the state of Colorado through what was formerly known as earmarks. This was the first time in 10 years that we saw earmarks come through. So we are now pushing for the second round of congressionally directed spending requests. The draft bill has been created, which brings in, both from Senator Hickenlooper and Senator Bennett, $92 million into the state of Colorado. Not guaranteed funds yet, but I did want to highlight that the Center for Innovation is one of 2 projects that was chosen in the city of Durango for some of these CDS requests, so really exciting there. The second piece for the city was Fort Lewis College's upcoming collaborative nursing workforce education degree program. So I wanted to highlight those 2 key programs. We saw a fair amount of money, I think $24 million come in throughout the Western Slope through the CDS process. Not quite guaranteed at this moment, but we're feeling really good about it. So we'll keep you updated on that. Happy to take any questions anytime. I won't take up any more time now, but I have my card. Really, really happy to meet with any of you individually. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Ellen. Lots of updates. Jack Llewellyn with the Chamber. Hi, Jack.
Control that button right there, maybe. Click on that one. Awesome. Well, thank you, Jack Llewellyn with the Durango Chamber of Commerce. Mike asked me to give a quick overview of our survey that we conducted last month. And so I've got some of the slides here and then some of the comments that people have made. So as you can see, with the currently staffed, 57% said yes, they are, leaving the 42% that are not fully staffed. What's interesting is the dollar amounts and the income. When you're looking at over $85,000 of the 101 that responded, 6 of them have jobs. I'm curious, show of hands, how many of you have openings in your businesses? Quite a few. I know the county, 40 positions. You still have 60 at the school district. So there are still a lot of jobs that are open, and we're seeing that with our chamber members. We'll mention, if you want to see the full report and all the survey responses, we do have it on our website, and we put it in our newsletter for the month of August, so you can pull up all the information on this. Do you have a photo? Do you want me in it?
Get over there.
I can send it to you too. If anybody wants any of the slides, I can certainly forward them.
I've got the slides.
I'd like some more.
And we do have, and there are some extra ones, we just kind of pulled the highlights out of this. I did ask when posting jobs, I was curious what platforms. With Indeed, 54%, you can look at the different percentages, some other comments. Company website, Craigslist, different job boards. Some folks have actually used local radio to help promote their job openings. Facebook and definitely LinkedIn. We had a presentation from Jeff Seville with Fort Lewis College last week with our Lunch and Learn. And if you're not using LinkedIn and tying your employees into LinkedIn and sharing your posts and everything you're utilizing with LinkedIn, start doing that. LinkedIn is definitely the professional platform that you want to take advantage of and using. Gas prices is where I get into a lot of the doom and gloom. Yes, 70%, almost 71% of businesses are feeling the pinch of the gas prices. Increased, some of the comments that people made, increased cost of goods, delivering our finished goods. Businesses do not absorb the extra costs, they pass them along to the consumer. Contractors, vendors have increased fees, therefore that gets passed along. Paying stipends to employees. One company has budgeted an additional $70,000 a year to help employees with gas prices getting to work. Purgatory, other hotel providers are also paying employees that are carpooling. Now they'll pay the employee up to $30 a day to bring other employees, and then they'll pay the other employees riding in the car $5 a day to ride with them. So people are becoming very inventive in how they're doing things. Mike and I were talking with the county. Guys looking at what, cutting back to some areas 410s and closing down offices 1 day a week. So employees can either not then have to come into work, they're still putting in the 40 hours, or flex hours, and giving them 1 day that they can work from home to help with daycare costs as well as gas price costs. We did ask if the chamber members were aware of the 27-cent retail delivery fee that the state has imposed, and almost 67% are unaware of it. Some of the comments, cannot believe the state of Colorado added 27-cent delivery fee, not doing deliveries anymore because I don't want to deal with the hassle. As a matter of fact, Democrat majority legislature passed 17 new fees for Coloradans. They're bypassing Tabor laws and calling these fees rather than taxes. And the average Coloradan will pay an extra $179 in fees each year. Most fees are annual or based on consumption. State will collect an additional $776 million, comparing from 2019 to 2024. And then also, how many add-on fees do we need to pay? Thought this one was interesting. I was billed an extra alcohol fee on my margarita last week. So chamber members are expressing some obviously frustrations with the 27-cent delivery fee. I've been talking to a lot of folks too, saying they had passed it, but no information went out. So get caught up on that. Currently experience supply chain issues. Again, 63% said yes. And then are you increasing your prices? 58% said yes, they are. Again, any price increases are being passed along to the consumers. So with that, you just need to be aware that yes, prices are going up. You probably felt that especially in the restaurant industry. And I know I went out last night to a restaurant, dinner for two, came in about $55. And went one beverage each, one beer each, and then the food. So prices are definitely feeling it. Also, a couple other comments. We did ask inflation impacting bottom line. Some folks said, one person said, not much, it costs me more to do business, so I charge a higher rate to my clients. People are having a hard time affording the services. People's discretionary income is shrinking, therefore charitable distributions are shrinking too. So if you're a nonprofit, be prepared to adjust possibilities as you're going forward, planning for next year. The money may not be out there as it has been. Recession, the impact, small businesses are being pinched in this environment of inflation. Labor shortage and legislation meant for large companies. They're not meant for smaller companies, and yet we're having to absorb what they're imposing. Property values are up so much. If we go into recession, what happens to property values is an unknown. It's from our county assessor. Need to support domestic oil and gas development. Less tourists due to tax price or gas prices, can't afford to buy a house due to price hitting down the interest rates. That's encouraging to see the interest rates drop back below 5%. Someone has said, yes, we bought property to build a facility, and our architect construction budget went from $900,000 in 2020 to $2 million currently as we work through the county planning, securing a loan, applying for grants. We cannot offer percentage raises for staff comparable to inflation. Cost of goods is exponential. Lost a board member due to no rentals available for a family of 6 here in Durango. So we are definitely feeling a lot of it, and that's what we keep finding out with the survey unveiled. Couple other things, sales tax. Tim Walsworth, is Tim here? Okay. Tim Walsworth does a great job looking at the Central Business District in North Maine and getting the sales tax. I will say, Tommy, if you can talk with the financial department, they have new software apparently, so we're not able to extrapolate the same information. So it would be nice if we could get the way the data was garnered before and have those comparative charts, because that was great. So now we have to go in and do a deeper dive and pull information out. And then Tim has to take all the data and reconfigure it himself into the SIC codes. So maybe we can talk about that to get the reporting so it's a little easier. The sales tax back in May was down 14%. So there's a lot of red on the reports that he pulled, and we're starting to feel it. We're starting to see it. So everyone's kind of adjusting that. One thing I would also say, the signboards are looking at going back to pre-pandemic and getting the signs removed from the sidewalks. I would encourage that doesn't happen based on what we saw with the survey that we did. And it's still just another marketing opportunity for businesses to get people to come into their store at the last minute, especially in the Central Business District. So if you can talk with, I know Scott Shine sent something out saying we're going to be shifting back. It may be a little premature. I think businesses are still suffering, especially with the labor force being shortened and having a hard time finding folks. Let's see. I do take the opportunity to remind everybody the city and county want to hear from us. So if you think of something that you're maybe not in agreement with, go talk at city council or the county commissioners during public hearings, because that is a great opportunity for them to hear what you're thinking. And I will say this, so you shouldn't give me a microphone. I will say it's an opportunity for others to speak. A lot of times they hear from the vocal minority, and a lot of times not from the businesses. I'm told that a lot of times businesses are afraid of retribution, or they don't want to get up, or they're having to, be at their shop. But if businesses and you're in here and you have a concern, let me know. I'm happy to go and speak on your behalf or on behalf of our 760 chamber members. Tonight, shifting off of the slides, there's a family and medical leave insurance informational meeting up at Fort Lewis College at 5:30. So mark your calendars. So I'll be having to pay the family and medical leave insurance. And Thursday, we have a Chamber University, 8 in the morning. It's free. Find out what all the benefits are of the chamber. And a plug for business after hours, Zia Chacarria North from 4 to 6, 4 to 6. We move it an hour earlier because of summer hours. And then we have lunch and learn on the 24th with Ascend Digital Media. So that's coming up. And again, all the information's at durangobusiness.org. Questions? Did I breathe? All right, thank you.
Sherry Berg.
Yeah. I'm the shortest. I'm standing. First off, my name is Sherry. I always tell people that because I'm going to get this way instead. So my name is Sherry Berg, and I'm the Chief Nursing Officer at Mercy, and I joined the team on February 21st. And I'm going to first tell you a little bit about myself. I moved here on February 21st. I left Minnesota. I came from Minnesota on February 19th. It was 27 below. So I thank you all for allowing me to have summer the entire time that I've been here. I felt very welcomed by the community. I come from Minnesota. I was the chief nursing officer with mHealth Fairview for 3 years in Hibbing, Minnesota, which is up on the Iron Range by Duluth, Minnesota, if you happen to know where that is. Before that, I was with Ultra Health System in Grand Forks, North Dakota for 22 years. When I left there, I was the director of 27 different departments, and then I moved to Hibbing, Minnesota. So I'm pleased to be here and excited to be here and be part of this community. I've been blessed to right away be welcomed into the community and invited in multiple community activities. So please keep me in mind. I want to be an active member. I believe in being active in the community. So I really want to thank everybody for that. So I was first asked to come, not first, I was asked to come and talk about COVID. So I think most of us are well aware of what's happening with COVID, and I don't know where the clicker is. I'm gonna ask you. Okay. Space bar. Perfect, thank you. So most of us are well aware of COVID and the different strains of COVID that are coming along our way. The one that we have right now is a fairly non-virulent strain. So we're not seeing as much acute disease. We are seeing some hospitalization rise. We're considered right now in medium stage of COVID. So we're having a number of higher numbers of positivity going into effect. We have approximately 12 per day in La Plata where people are testing positive. However, that's a 29% decrease over the past 2 weeks. We were at high for a period of time. You'll notice that I came in mass just because of the level that we're at. And so with hospitalization, what everyone was interested in is, although the numbers are higher than they have been, they're not excessive numbers by any means, and I'm pleased to say that we're not having the acute illness that we had seen in the first onset of the pandemic. So that's a good thing. However, it continues to mutate itself in different strains. So we see different variances of illnesses dependent on the actual strain that we're seeing. The important things are to remember to stay vaccinated and to keep your, whenever you're able to be boosted, please boost. I'm really impressed, I have to tell you, with the state of Colorado. When I was looking to be boosted and I happened to be driving over to the farmer's market and there's the van right there, really I hadn't recognized Colorado for what they're doing. It's pretty amazing. The things to keep in mind is also well ventilated whenever we're in the building as much as possible so that we're not having the organisms travel throughout. So ventilation is an important thing in relationship to the process and making sure that we're keeping ourselves safe. Following the CDC guidelines, because they continue to change depending on where we're at, how distance we should be from one another, when we should mask. We know that those type of things are really making a big difference in regard to the curve in relationship to COVID. And if you are thinking that you have symptoms, test early, but you have to sometimes test a little later also because the positivity comes a little bit later than just right on the first onset of thinking you have some symptoms, let's say a sore throat or congestion or those type of things. Some continue to get more symptoms than others. We continue to see that, and certainly it's not a one and done with COVID. Multiple people get it multiple times in relationship to that. In the overall for La Plata County, 1 in 4 has had COVID since the start of the pandemic is the projection. So approximately 14,000 have had COVID at one time or another. The reality is do we really know? No, because a large majority of us may have had COVID without any symptoms, so there is no testing in relationship to that. And if you're immune compromised, to make sure that you are talking with your physician and looking at if there are antivirals or those type of things and testing early, because those are the people that are most at risk. So that's kind of a quick COVID update. Please feel free to come and talk to me about anything you like, and then thank you all for welcoming me into the community. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Sherry. Welcome. All right. 4 minutes early.
Oh, I can talk some more.
Yeah. All right, let's go through more of those comments. With a whopping 4 minutes left, anybody have any good updates? If not?
So there's an excess lodgers tax survey that the city put out. They're trying to get feedback to determine how they're going to do the rebate and what that money is potentially going to go to. And it's 2022, but also 2023. So that survey is online, either on the city website, and it's you can find it on social media as well. But it's literally a one question survey on SurveyMonkey, multiple choice. I think your input's important. Housing's important.
Anybody's sick of hearing about housing yet? Ooh, still gotta fix it. Okay. Well, thanks so much for coming, everybody. Again, look forward to seeing all of you at the summit next month, and then we'll reconvene for this meeting October 11th. Thanks so much.